I'm gonna show you how to make bread. If you're serious about baking bread, I need you to not be a cheap ass and you need to invest in one of these thermometers. The other thing I highly suggest if you're serious about baking is getting a kitchen scale. I like to use Red Star yeast. One of my favorite brands of flour is King Arthur flour. I like to use red flour when I'm making sandwich bread or rolls or really any type of bread because I prefer the more chewy texture. You can also use all-purpose flour. The only difference between the all-purpose flour and the bread flour is going to be the bread flour makes your bread more chewy, which is just a personal preference. My family likes that. If you want to use all-purpose flour, that's fine. Also, if King Arthur is seeing this, go ahead and sponsor me. All right, now I've been cooking bread long enough that I actually don't really even need to measure. I go by the feel and the look. It took me a few months to get there of consistently making bread. So eventually, if you actually stick with this, you won't even need to measure, 3 cups of flour or whatever it is. You'll just be able to tell by the way it looks and is feeling and sticking in the bowl and the way it bounces back at you, whether or not you need to add more flour. So I do want to toot my own horn about that. I know it's ready because it's slightly tacky, and then when I poke it, it slowly bounces back to me. I use maybe a teaspoon, and then I use my hands to lightly oil the bowl to move the oil around. I flip the dough around multiple times in the bowl because I want to make sure that all surfaces have some amount of olive oil on it. That way it doesn't stick to the bowl while it's rising. All right, now we're gonna cover it for a couple hours and let it double in size. Okay, now the dough is doubled in size, so I'll punch it down. Most breads are gonna do 2 rises. The second rise typically isn't as long as the first rise. This cute wood dough cutter that my neighbor got me. She went to Alaska and brought it back as a little gift. Thanks, Debbie. The rolls have finished their second rise, so now they're ready to go into the oven. They're nice and puffy. Do not poke at your rolls or your bread or whatever you're about to put into the oven because you're gonna let all the gases out and it'll become hard as hell like a hockey puck. Breads like rolls, French bread, sandwich bread, a lot of these breads are done when the internal temperature is between like 195, 200. So that's why it's important to not be a cheap ass and get that thermometer that I talked about in the beginning.